Well, let me, I don't have a long bio or anything. I'm just going to say welcome to Creating Community in Community College here with Diane from Miami-Dade College. And she's going to present a great session for us today. So Diane, there
All
you are.
right. Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate your help. And good afternoon to all of AFC. Thank you for joining our session this afternoon. I hope you're all having a great day. Just to let you know a little bit about myself, as Doug mentioned, I work at Miami-Dade College. I've been with the college for almost 8 years, and I'm currently our Kendall Campus President's Executive Assistant. I'm also an adjunct in our Social Sciences Department and the AFC Campus Treasurer for our chapter. I'm working on my EDD in organizational leadership, and I worked at FIU prior to coming to the college. So I have some experience in both the state university system and now the Florida college system. And the best part of my job is definitely the external relations piece. So very excited to talk to you about the MDC story and how we've been focusing on community. There are some events, I will give a little disclaimer, that were not coordinated by me. But if you have questions after, I'll share my email in the last slide, so that if you would like more information and it's not something that I have enough information on, I'm happy to connect you with the proper colleague from our college. So with that, wanted to just share with you our agenda for today. We're going to start with a roll call. I'd love to see who from the Great 28 is here, who are we representing. So if you want to take a moment to, in the chat box, just share with me what college you are with. That would be great. All right, Pensacola, Florida Southwestern, TCC. Thank you. We just stole your provost. We just learned today she's coming back to Miami as our college president. Very nice. Indian River, Pasco Hernando. Anybody from the Keys? I don't think I've seen them yet. All right, awesome. We got a good list. It doesn't cover all 28, but it's all good. Excellent. Welcome. I see a couple names from the marketing group, marketing commission. So hello again. Hope everybody's doing well. All right, great. Thank you for playing. Now that we know what schools we represent, once again, let's just jump into the MDC story. So we're going to go over the why, right? Why is it that we focus on community so much? The who and the what, when, how, and then of course end with some Q&A. So I'd love to hear, after you hear everything that MDC is doing, if you have some best practices that you'd like to share, or you'd like some more information, once again, I'm happy to get those conversations going. All right, so here's all 28 of us. Like I said, we're not all here in the room, but that's okay. All right, so the word community. I like this, this slide here. We see it, the word community everywhere, right? In our mission statements, our vision statements, and maybe even in our strategic plans or our strategic priorities. But I intentionally focused on Hillsborough and TCC because, as you may know, of the 28 colleges in the state, there are only 2 that still use the word community college in their name. So they're the last 2. I don't know if it'll ever change, but I did want to highlight that again, at one point we all did start off as community colleges. And now, yes, there's been a name change. And so naturally that's affected the name of our organization. We're no longer FACC. For those that have been around for a while, we're now AFC. And of course, it's called the Florida College System, right? So just a little bit of context there. But as you can see here, Hillsborough has it, right, stated in their mission, and it's a strategic priority for TCC. When we look at Miami-Dade College, you see that it's in all 3. And that is actually something that I learned by accident as I was putting together the slides for today's presentation. But it's nice to see that, yes, they are definitely keeping community in mind for everything that we do. So, our job as educators, right, is to ensure that we are preparing these students for the workforce, and that ultimately they're going to give back to the community. And setting the educational piece aside, of course, are so many services and special events that we put together. And so that's what I'll be focusing on, I guess a combination of both, right, throughout our presentation. So a little bit about MDC. I promise this is not, or excuse me, Miami-Dade County, different kind of MDC. I promise this is not a recruitment presentation, but for those who are visual and like data, as you know, anytime that you're working on a major initiative, you want to make sure that you really understand your audience. So here in our county, and I promise there's my source, I didn't make this, you see that we've got a nice mix, right, of degrees out there, and some who, of course, do not have their degrees yet. But again, this is not meant for recruitment purposes, simply for us to understand who's out there in our community. Now, the piece that I really like are the ages. As you'll notice in a moment, we do have a variety of events, and the age ranges do vary, but looks like our biggest sector, right, is between 25 and 64 years of age in the county. But I left the Florida numbers there so that you can see that, yes, I mean, this helps us. Of course, everybody could drill down, but as we think about events that we'd like to plan, it is very important to keep this in mind, because that's a whole lot of people, right, that we would need to entertain. So there's our majority. So now we get into our timeline here, right? Before coronavirus, BC, what were some things that the campus used to organize? So here you see the Chinese New Year Festival. This is something that we host every February. We rent the space, right? So it doesn't, it's not something that the college coins as an event, but the community has gotten accustomed every year to come to us. As you can see, they set up events. This is called our Fred Shaw Plaza. It's a nice indoor, it's the center of the campus essentially. And it's got that, you know, that nice covering. And as you can see, easily over 2,000 people participate in this event every year. Unfortunately, this February was canceled because of COVID concerns. But the Chinese Cultural Foundation down here in our county, again, works with us very closely to determine, you know, how can they put together some shows. It's a day long, it's about 5-6 hours, and just a really nice event where, again, every year they come to us just because of the real estate. If you're not familiar with Miami-Dade College, of the 8 campuses, the Kendall campus, which is where these photos are from, is the largest. And so we do have a lot of events that, yes, we recognize they come to us. It's 185 acres in size. So they want the land. And it is, of course, a nice outdoor space when you're talking about so many people, right? So this is just one event that I wanted to highlight. Once again, they pay for the space. They bring their signage, their tents, everything. But there's another really nice one that unfortunately this year was also canceled, and that one focuses primarily on children. So our target audience is the elementary school children in the community. It's called Spooky Night, and this event is hosted every year, typically the Friday before Halloween. So here are just some photos. As we put this event together, we like to think of, all right, what are some organizations in our neighborhood that either want to get the word out, maybe it's a new restaurant or a small, let's say cell phone shop near campus. How can we work with them to make this a win-win? So those are the first few groups that we go after. We've also worked with our public library system, and they come out here and they bring their bookmobile. That's always been a huge hit with our kids. Again, in the photo, you'll notice we have our police department. The fire department brings the trucks so the kids can get on and they let them spray the hose. It's a really nice event. And what we do is it's philanthropic in nature, but of course, recruitment is in everything that we do. So as families are coming in, they receive some information about the college, right? Just a simple brochure that has our website. And then just, top 10 reasons to come to the college. So we push both our credit and non-credit programs at this event. And they are asked if they can please make a donation to the philanthropy of choice. So the last year in 2019, when we did this, the funds raised benefited our food pantry on campus. And it was, it used to be $1 per person, and then some folks started getting, a little bothered by the fact that babies were being charged or infants. So we said, never mind, let's try $5 per family. And we learned that was definitely the way to go. So we collected over $1,000 for the food pantry last year. We had over 200 families come out to the event. And if you're not familiar with Miami, when you say family, that's a wild card. A family could be 7 people or 3, but typically they tend to be 5 or more. So it's really nice. They come out in their costumes. We have costume contests. All of our academic departments have an opportunity to host a booth. So again, we're showcasing our academic programs. But of course, we try to tailor the activities to be kid appropriate. So our science department will make slime with the kids. Our student life team will make sure that all of the student clubs that would like to, play games we call that our game section, our game zone. They each have a chance to, you know, do little things like spin the wheel and win a prize. Everybody brings candy. And at the end of the track, we do this at an outdoor, we use our outdoor facilities for this. There is an opportunity for kids to interact with our student athletes. And so they play games with them as well. One year, our honors college did a little mini golf tournament with them out there on Pie in the Face. So it's an opportunity to bring the entire campus together. You know, most people, for the most part, like to dress up. And because it is, again, about the kids, it's really nice. It's the one event that every year we can genuinely say brings everyone together, both on campus and in the community. Because of course we have sponsors who pay, we charge them between $100 and $150 to have a booth at the event. And if you'd like to take a look at the website, I noticed yesterday it is still up. We haven't had a chance to update it because we thought, so there was a little glimpse of hope that maybe COVID would get better and we'd be able to do maybe a smaller spooky night, but sadly that did not happen. So yes, if anybody would like to take a look at that website, I'm happy to send it to you later. Or of course you can Google it, MDC Kendall Campus Spooky Night. And you'll see all of our sponsors. We got local gyms to participate. Again, we always go after those new businesses down the road that are looking for some exposure, but it ends up being a really nice event with over 2,000 people each year. So we've definitely, you know, amped up the community to look forward to this. And sadly, this year it wasn't possible, but this still is a very special event that I wanted to highlight. Many of your colleges may have a food pantry of their own on campus. And so here we have a student that was organizing the Kendall Food Pantry. We, of course, seek donations from our employees throughout the year, and students are welcome to bring cans as well. We often have canned food drives, and we make it a friendly competition between the student organizations to see who can raise the most cans or bring in the most cans, excuse me. And then, of course, there are other events where, again, like I said, the Spooky Night, most recently chose to have the funds collected at the door to benefit the food pantry so that we could go beyond food and provide some hygienic products to our students as well, toiletries and things of that nature versus simply food. Because what we learned is that we had a lot of students that were coming in with other needs that we were not able to service up until recently. So here we also have a food drive for Venezuela. Many of our students, I apologize, the picture's a little fuzzy, but this is the best one I could find. These students approached the president's office and said, you know, we're really passionate about what's going out there and we want to, you know, focus on humanitarian relief. And we said, absolutely, let's see what we can do. So this photo is taken in what we call our shark tank. It's just like a sunken in pit in front of one of the food vendors on campus. And within, you know, a couple of weeks, they, with our press release, we were able to get a few different news stations to come out and interview these students. And just, it was nice to see that, again, they chose to take matters into their own hands and put together this food drive, which of course competes with, I realize, our food pantry that's on campus, but it was a really nice touch. And in the end, they sent, I forget how much it weighed, but I know it was over 10 boxes of food back home to Venezuela. So that was really nice, a nice story. And I think they would like to do it again. Unfortunately, right, we're dealing with some hurricanes and not so great weather down south, but there's always opportunities for students to step up and be change makers. And this is just one example. Some of you may also have the volunteer income tax program, VITA. This is unfortunately another event that could not take place this year because of COVID. But it is something that our accounting students take a lot of pride in doing. And beneath that, you see our logo for our 5K Run Walk. This was an event that we hosted for 2 years to benefit our athletics department. And it was, again, just another opportunity to bring businesses on campus and just have a friendly competition. We learned that we had a lot of runners amongst our employees and students, and they were asking for something like this. So we tried it out for 2 years. It was excellent. But we learned that, you know, it was a lot of money to put into it. So unless we have a major sponsor, unfortunately, this is an event that we've had to put on pause. But it's an idea for those who maybe are looking for ways to help their athletic departments or student clubs raise funds. As you can see here, this was one of our outdoor concerts. So our performing arts and industries have done a great job of hosting you know, concerts, theatrical performances, and dance shows. Of course, we're now under a new set of restrictions, but again, this is just another example of events that would bring the community together. Not only, of course, would parents of these students come out to watch the event, but we did have a local crowd that was interested in the performing arts, and they've subscribed, to our distribution list, so they were always made aware of shows that they could, come to on a weeknight if they had no plans. And again, we're really eager to bring these back. So hopefully next year we'll have the opportunity to do more of this. And one last one here, Jazz Under the Stars. So this was an event that we hosted for, I believe, 9 years. Every year we would partner with our Cultural Affairs Department. It's one of the subdivisions is called MD's, or now they just changed their name, Live Arts Miami. And they had great connections with different artists. And this was, again, just added PR in the community. Every time we host an event like this, we would look to see which departments on campus or at the college can we work with to utilize those resources to get our name out there in the community. So we would have radio ads, social media ads, and all these things, right? Of course, in the end would have some connection with recruitment, as I said. But what was really nice is Jazz Under the Stars was an older crowd. So we would find very few students would attend the event, well, unless they were music students, that's what we noticed. And those that would come out here, it was, folks that just lived really close to the campus and had always heard that we would do outdoor concerts, but they knew that this was the big one. And there was even a short time there where it was the only event where alcohol was served, so that it became quite popular, as you can imagine. It was not free of charge. But we had a great, collaboration with different businesses in the community who chose to sponsor the event because either they love jazz or it was just an opportunity, again, for them to get their name out there. And most of these events, as you noticed, take place in the fall, and we were kind of limited sometimes because the weather in Miami is so tricky, but we like to do events outside in the fall. So I guess in that sense, coronavirus didn't change things up all that much. But early voting is another one that we're really proud of. We had the opportunity in 2018, colleges and universities were given the opportunity to host early voting polling sites, right? Or to serve as early voting sites. And here at the Kendall campus, our numbers, we had over 10,000 students, employees, and community members come to our campus to vote. In the year 2020, right, we had 3 rounds of elections. So we had folks on campus at the onset of COVID. Then in summer, we had to modify how we did all of this, right? Put social distancing stickers everywhere and some barricades to help folks sign up. But thankfully, it was extremely smooth. And of course, this was a partnership with our local county where they said, all right, we're looking for some additional locations because the libraries could only handle, X capacity. So it was time for them to branch out. And both the Kendall and North campus were asked if they wanted to serve as polling sites. And thank goodness, like I said, it's been a great partnership. It's brought some additional people onto campus, right? So they're able to take a look at the space. And maybe for some, if they never had an opportunity to complete their degrees or they're now looking to upskill, this was an opportunity for them to really, just kind of get reinvigorated all over again. So now we get to AD, right? After all the social distancing, everything, all these new measures were put into place, what is it that we had to change? So immediately when we, got word that we were going to close, we had 2 weeks to get all of our courses online on Blackboard and to make sure that all of our student services and academic affairs departments were ready to go to answer phone calls, have email addresses that somebody was checking, hopefully more than one person. So that was an interesting adventure. And I'm sure all of you have interesting stories from your institutions as well. But we put together a directory, made sure that all of our campus administrators knew how to, spread the word about which offices could help and who was going to be ready to go. It, modified their hours of operation. So check, we got through the month of March. Then we realized, so all these students who used to come to the food pantry, now what do we do, right? They still need help. So how do we make sure that they're able to get food to continue studying, right? Semester had not ended just yet. So in working with the foundation, again, this is one of those college-wide projects that unfortunately Kendall cannot take credit for, but it was a chance for us to, again, think creatively about how do we make sure that everybody's needs are met once again. So those students receive gift cards from the foundation, and then you'll see in the third box, then we realize, hold on, there's some of these students who don't even have access to a laptop, or internet access. And so that's when, again, there was another layer, right, of planning these student laptop distributions. I want to say we did 3 in the spring, 3 in the summer, and then 2 in the fall. And now the way that those are distributed has varied just a little bit. We have another department that's coming to help because our IT department definitely has plenty on their hands. But we also had to get creative about our drive-in activities, right? So students who wanted to come to campus, but because we were still in phase 1, could not come into the building to drop off residency documents. Maybe they didn't have access to a scanner at home. Little things that we can easily take for granted. We had to now put together, a chance for them to drive onto campus and get some help. So we set up some tents outside of our main student services building, and they had a chance to have their questions answered, sign up for orientation, and so forth. And finally, that brings me to the last box here. We're now in the midst of planning an outdoor commencement ceremony next month. So again, we're going to see what we can do, but it's definitely presented, again, some new challenges, some new innovative opportunities. And again, we are doing our best to make it work and always continue to think of, again, community. What does this mean for our community? So the first opportunity was we had some elected officials who said, again, we need your real estate. We needed a place where we can have farm share come onto campus and distribute food. So here you see some photos of our students getting the boxes ready. Again, folks would just pop open their trunk, they drop in the food. And then of course, at the end, there were some opportunities to take photos with some elected officials and run some very nice stories, in the paper. So that was in May. Then in June, we worked with our Miami Film Festival. If you're not familiar, the college has an annual film festival and an annual book fair. And as you can imagine, those activities have had to be modified just a bit. So our drive-in movies, we hosted 2 in June. We had such an overwhelming response when we distributed tickets that we decided to host a second. So these were 2 different Saturdays in June where cars had an opportunity to just, come in, park, watch their film, as opposed, just give them a chance to get out of their homes. Again, still get a little tour of the campus as they're driving in and perhaps inspire some of them to enroll in our programs. And then in the month of August, we were approached by one of the 4 chambers that works very closely with our campus. They're called Chamber South. They're a champion for small businesses. And they said, at the beginning of all of this, we purchased a ton of masks and now there's no space in our office and we want to hand them out. Can we work with your campus? So we were really excited to give them, this chance. These are some students actually in the photo that volunteered to help. And same thing, we just, at this point, since we had already gotten practice with the farm share food distribution event, we were already ready to go, right? We knew what were the ways to control the traffic. We had our county officers on site to keep everything running smoothly. And, this was something that we hosted from 9 to 1, and we fed our volunteers. There were also some elected officials that we invited, and they chose to come out, had their picture taken, right? They did their little PR thing. But in the end, our community was very appreciative. We were able to give 5 masks per vehicle. And so you have, food, masks, we're trying to cover the basics, as I said. But it's been a nice combination, right, of folks that we have approached to see how can we work together, and others that have just, come knocking on our door, and they know that between, again, the size of the campus and our ability to, of course, get the word out. We have a nice marquee on the main entrance, near the main entrance. We were able to promote all of these initiatives. So now, as I mentioned, of course, the book fair is running this week. So if you'd like to check that out, that is one of those events that had to go fully online. I do encourage you to check it out. But I did want to just take a moment to pause here and see what questions you have, and then we'll open it up to hear those best practices that are out there. don't know if any of your colleges are looking to implement something similar. I know that was a lot of events, but I would love to hear if there's anything out there that maybe your institutions have done differently since March. The audio for the drive-in, yeah, so we did have to work with a production company to do that. I'm happy to get, you know, their contact information if you'd like. It was something that the film festival, really they paid for everything. The only thing the campus worried about was the staffing, right? So our public safety and our custodial teams had to, you know, do, some of them had to do overtime. And then we had to get our A-frame signage ordered, but the film festival did pay for all of everything else. Yeah, so I see somebody else also interested in the drive-in movie, definitely. So we have something called the Miami Film Festival that reports up through our Cultural Affairs office. They typically have 2 major events throughout the year. And this was just, again, something different that we thought, you know, how can we get folks out of their house? I guess, you know, watching the film festival from home, it isn't the same. We used to give them an opportunity to visit a few different theaters throughout the neighborhood. And since everything was closed, it was just a chance for them to come on. You know, you think of back in the day when there were a whole lot more drive-in opportunities. We only did 2 because, as I said, it was a pretty big endeavor. And these were hosted in the summer. That was intentional because we knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of traffic on campus. And we were still in phase 1. So it was very easy to coordinate in that sense. Now, you know, to do it now, it would be a little tricky. And I know our Student Government Association is dying for the chance to do, you know, to have something like this of their own. But once again, we did have the Miami Film Festival pick up the bulk of the tab. So we'd have to see if a sponsor, you know, were to come by, we would definitely love to work with them and make it happen. Oh yes, and then you're absolutely right. I failed to mention that. So they were also given, right, a radio station that they could tune into. Yes. All right, so the drive-in movie was a favorite. Were there any others out there? For student services, I have to admit, that was something that was really challenging. You know, just before the fall semester started, we had so many orientation sessions that didn't have any students registered for them. And we had to quickly think of a way to get the students onto campus. So between text messages and emails, it was our final push, you know, to get them on, like I said, to maybe bring those final documents, answer their questions. In many instances, you know, mom, dad, some significant other, somebody else was in the car with them. Because of course we recognize that if they're first time in college, yeah, it's a little tricky.
You can join with your phone and put in that code I wrote down.
I'm just want to
Is it all right if I move money from travel to cover the
Where did you write it down?
I wrote it down on the side of one of those papers to your left.
Yeah, the trunk or treat's very nice. We would have loved to do that.
No. Well, it was on one that had lines on it.
Oh yeah, I guess somebody maybe has their mic still on.
Flip this one back over. There it
I'll,
is.
I'll look into that, Diane.
Alrighty, no worries.
So how do I find that?
So leave the audio.
Thank you. All right, sorry about that. Any other questions? Alrighty. Well, I know it's been a long day, but I did want to leave you with my contact information. So if any of you are, you know, event planners, perhaps unofficially, for your colleges, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share with you our budgets, our community partners, you know, just to give you some ideas to get some of this going and provide timelines as well. I'm really big into checklists and timelines. So as you know, there's so many details when you start thinking about logistics. But I do appreciate everybody signing on, and I'll stick around for a couple of minutes in case anybody has any ideas or questions. Excuse me. Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, don't be strangers. Like I said, if you need to email me, I'm happy to help. Hi, Dr. Stewart. The drive-in was it was open to everyone. It was open to the community. They had to pay for their tickets. Employees and students were able to get free tickets, but there was a very limited number available. And so once we realized that there was overwhelming demand, we had to add a second Saturday to that. Okay, definitely. Karen, I'll jot down your email.
And Valdivia. Is she done?
I'm all done. Thank you. Just reading some messages here in the chat. Yeah, perfect. All right. So I will follow up with Karen. And again, if there are any others that are still on, let me check. Yeah, we're all set. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Everybody give a big round of applause to Diane. Thank you so much for presenting here at the Association of Florida Colleges annual conference.
No problem.
Everybody,
Thanks.
don't forget, we've moved the networking social to 4:45. We're going to be doing some speed networking, and we also have a photo booth activity. So please join us and make some new AFC friends. Otherwise, have a great afternoon.
Sounds good. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Diane.
Bye-bye.